In 1869, a young student named Ivan Ivanov was lured into a park outside Moscow by people he trusted, people who called themselves revolutionaries, people who called themselves his friends, and murdered. The killer was Sergei Nekhaev. His justification: the revolution required it. The ideology demanded it. And if the ideology demanded it, it was permitted. Dostoevsky read about this murder in the newspaper, and instead of moving on, instead of filing it away as a crime story, he sat with the question that no one else seemed to be asking. What kind of ideas turn a human being into someone capable of this? That question became 3 years of obsessive writing. It became Demons. And the answer Dostoevsky arrived at is so precise, so prophetic, so brutally accurate about the way ideas possess people and destroy them, that reading it today does not feel like reading history. It feels like reading tomorrow's news. Demons, also translated as The Possessed or Devils, is the darkest, most prophetic novel Dostoevsky ever wrote. And he wrote Crime and Punishment. He wrote The Brothers Karamazov. So, when I say darkest, I mean it. The novel is set in a small Russian provincial town. A group of young radicals, led by a brilliant and ruthless organizer named Pyotr Verkhovensky, begin working to destabilize the town, spreading chaos, manipulating people, committing crimes, all in service of a revolution they are absolutely certain is necessary and right. But here is what makes this book timeless rather than merely historical. Dostoevsky was not writing about Russia in 1872. He was writing about what happens to any society, any person, when they cut themselves off from meaning, from moral foundation, and replace it with ideology, with certainty, with the intoxicating belief that they alone know the truth and are therefore permitted anything. That story did not end in 1872. It never ended, and we are living inside a version of it right now. What happens when a person loses all belief in anything? If God does not exist, then everything is permitted. This is the sentence that haunts Dostoevsky's entire body of work, and in Demons, he shows you, in graphic, unforgettable detail, what everything is permitted actually looks like when it walks into a room. Meet Nikolai Stavrogin. He is the novel's dark sun, the character around whom everything orbits. He is extraordinarily handsome, extraordinarily intelligent, extraordinarily charismatic, and he is completely, terrifyingly empty inside. Stavrogin has tried everything. He has held every belief and abandoned every belief. He has loved and he has destroyed. He has committed acts of shocking cruelty and acts of surprising tenderness. And none of it, absolutely none of it, has touched him. He feels nothing. He believes in nothing. He is a man for whom the death of meaning has become total. And here is Dostoevsky's most devastating insight. Stavrogin does not become a monster because he is evil. He becomes a monster because he is empty. Because without any genuine belief in anything beyond himself, beyond his own will and intellect, he has no anchor, no limit, no reason to stop. The people around him, younger, more passionate, more idealistic, are magnetized by him. They each take some fragment of an idea from him and build their entire identity around it. He infects them with his emptiness while pretending to give them meaning. This is the novel's first great lesson. A life without genuine belief, not necessarily religious belief, but belief in something beyond yourself, something that places a limit on your own will, is not freedom. It is a different kind of prison, and it is a prison that, left long enough, produces not just personal suffering, but the destruction of everyone around you. What do you actually believe in? Not what you say you believe. What actually governs your choices when no one is watching? The man who took an idea all the way to its end. Now meet Pyotr Verkhovensky. If Stavrogin is the novel's dark sun, Verkhovensky is its demon in the most literal sense. Restless, manipulative, electric with purposeful energy. He is a revolutionary. He organizes, he plots, he recruits. He is completely certain that the current order must be destroyed, that society must be burned to its foundations so that something new and pure can be built in its place. He does not doubt. He does not hesitate. He acts. And Dostoevsky makes him, crucially uncomfortably, brilliant, charming, sometimes even funny, because Dostoevsky understood something that comfortable people rarely want to admit. Evil is rarely stupid. It is often very, very smart. It knows exactly which levers to pull, which fears to exploit, which ideals to weaponize. Verkhovensky does not actually believe in the revolution. This is the key. He believes in chaos, in the pure, intoxicating power of tearing things apart. The ideology is a tool. The true goal is destruction for its own sake, and the domination that follows it. Dostoevsky is describing something he watched happen in real life, something that would happen again on a massive scale in 1917, and again throughout the century. The capture of genuine human idealism, the real desire for justice, for equality, for a better world, by people who want power and who are willing to use any means to get it. The lesson is not that idealism is foolish. The lesson is that idealism without wisdom is dangerous, that the question, what do we want to build, must always be accompanied by the harder question, what kind of people are we becoming in the process of trying to build it? Means matter. The road you take shapes the person who arrives at the destination, and if you have allowed yourself to become monstrous on the road, the destination, whatever it is, will be monstrous too. The philosopher who followed logic off a cliff. Of all the extraordinary characters in this novel, the one who haunts me most is Alexei Kirillov. Kirillov is an engineer, quiet, sincere, gentle even. He is genuinely searching for truth, not power, not glory, just truth. And the truth he has arrived at, through years of solitary philosophical reasoning, is this. If there is no God, then life has no inherent meaning. And if life has no meaning, then death has no sting. And if death has no sting, then a person who is truly free, truly beyond fear, can choose death at any moment simply to prove that they are free. And Kirillov has decided to do exactly this. He will shoot himself, not in despair, not in pain, but as a philosophical act of ultimate freedom. To conquer the fear of death is, in his logic, to become God, to prove that a human being, standing alone, without any external authority, can be complete. Dostoevsky takes this logic completely seriously. He does not mock Kirillov. He lets the argument breathe. He shows you how a person of genuine sincerity and intelligence can follow a chain of reasoning, each link apparently solid, all the way to a conclusion that is pure madness. And then he asks the question he is really asking throughout the entire novel. What happens when human reason, cut off from any wisdom beyond itself, is the only authority a person recognizes? What happens when the mind becomes its own god? Pure intellect alone. Without humility, without love, without some honest acknowledgement of what we do not and cannot know, is not a path to freedom. It is a path to the edge of a cliff, what Dostoevsky actually believed could save us. By now, you might be asking, is there any light in this book at all? There is. But it is quiet. It does not announce itself with speeches or manifestos. It appears in small moments, in humble characters, in the kind of love that does not ask for anything in return. Near the end of the novel, an aging liberal intellectual named Pyotr Verkhovensky, the father of the revolutionary Pyotr, vain and self-deceiving his whole life, sets out on a kind of pilgrimage. An old, sick man walking out into the Russian countryside, not knowing where he is going, only knowing he needs to find something real. He meets a woman selling Bibles by the road. He buys one. He asks her to read to him. She reads the passage about the Gadarene swine, the passage from which the novel takes its title, in which Jesus drives demons out of a man and into a herd of pigs that rush off a cliff into the lake. And Stepan understands it, suddenly and completely, as a description of Russia itself. The demons have entered and are driving it toward destruction. But the man who was possessed sits at the feet of Jesus, clothed in his right mind, healed. This is Dostoevsky's answer, not a political program, not a philosophical system. A person healed, sitting quietly in their right mind. He believed that love was the only real answer, not romantic love, not sentimental love, the hard, costly, patient love that sees another person clearly, in their weakness, their damage, their ridiculousness, and stays anyway, the love that does not require the other person to be perfect before it is offered. In a novel full of people who are certain of everything, a person who genuinely loves is the most radical presence in the room. Why this book is more relevant today than ever? Let me be direct with you. Demons is not comfortable reading. It is not supposed to be. But the reason it matters so urgently right now is that we are living inside several of the exact conditions Dostoevsky diagnosed. A crisis of meaning. Millions of people who have abandoned old frameworks of belief without finding anything real to replace them. An explosion of ideological certainty. People on every side of every argument absolutely convinced they are right, that their cause justifies any method, that the ends will redeem whatever means are necessary. A culture of performance, where what matters is not what you actually believe or how you actually live, but how you appear, what you signal, which side you are loudly on, and underneath all of it, a terrifying loneliness. The loneliness of people who have been told that they are sufficient unto themselves, that they need no community, no tradition, no authority beyond their own mind, and who are discovering, quietly and alone, that this is not actually enough. Dostoevsky saw all of this. He saw it in the 1870s, before it had fully arrived. He saw it because he had lived through his own version of it. He had been a revolutionary, been arrested, stood before a firing squad, spent years in a Siberian prison camp, and come out the other side with something most ideologues never find: genuine humility about what he did not know, and genuine wonder at the mystery of other human beings. The demons in this novel are not supernatural. They are ideas. Ideas untethered from love, from humility, from the honest acknowledgement that we are not gods and our certainty is not final. The warning Dostoevsky left for you. Dostoevsky spent 3 years writing Demons. He poured into it his fear, his grief over the young people he watched consumed by ideas that had no room for actual human beings, and his hard-won conviction that there was a way through, narrow, unglamorous, requiring everything, but real. He did not write it to condemn. He wrote it because he had been Stavrogin, a little. He had been Stepan Verkhovensky, a little. He knew what it felt like to be certain and wrong and devastated by the gap between the two. The novel's final question is not political. It is personal. Are the ideas you are living inside setting you free? Or are they possessing you? Not the ideas you profess, the ones that actually govern you, the ones that determine what you are willing to do, what you are willing to overlook, what you tell yourself you are permitted. Sit with that question. It was not meant to be comfortable. But it is the beginning of something Dostoevsky believed was always possible, even for the most possessed among us. The beginning of coming back to yourself. If this made you think, share it with one person who needs to hear it today. Not later, now. Drop in the comments. Which character hit closest to home? Stavrogin, Verkhovensky, Kirillov, or Stepan? And why? Subscribe if you want more books that change how you think about life. Not just what you know, but how you live. See you in the next one.